Ly Tu Diem here. Hello everyone. These days, my heart is heavy. Danger has quietly wrapped itself around me, and I can't help but wonder, is it a cruel twist of fate, or something far more painful? Could it be CEO Toan's mother, the woman I longed to be accepted by, who now stands behind the shadows pulling us apart? I never wanted to believe it, but love, when threatened, reveals truths we never wished to face. And now, as I try to hold on, I can only hope that Toan will see clearly before it's too late.
The wind was cold that night. The city lights blinked far in the distance. But in the silence of an empty alley, Ly Tu Diem's heart raced louder than her footsteps. She hadn't eaten properly in 2 days. Her clothes were soaked from the rain, and the shadows behind her felt too close to familiar. She wasn't just running from hunger or fear. She was running from a pain much deeper: betrayal. Tu Diem thought she had finally found safety in the warm home of the man she once saved, the man who brought her back from despair. CEO Toan had opened his door, and more importantly, his heart, to a girl who had nothing but scars and silence. For a while, she believed it was possible to begin again, to be loved without fear. But love, it seemed, was not enough. The eyes of Toan's mother had never softened, even when Tu Diem served her tea with trembling hands, or when she cleaned the house quietly each morning. There was something in those eyes, not just suspicion, but calculation. Cold, silent. Dangerous. One afternoon, when Toan was away on a business trip, Tu Diem overheard a conversation she was never meant to hear. The mother was speaking to a man on the phone. Her words were calm, almost sweet, but they carried a chilling weight. "She's not right for him. I want her gone. I don't care how." Tu Diem's blood froze. Her fingers trembled against the doorknob. She had been right to feel uneasy. It wasn't just disapproval anymore. It was a plan. The night she disappeared, Toan returned to an empty house and a shattered heart. His calls went unanswered. Her small suitcase was gone. But something wasn't right. She wouldn't leave without saying goodbye. Not after everything they had shared. The warm moments in the hospital. The promise to protect each other. The silent understanding between the people who had suffered too much to ever lie. He confronted his mother. She looked surprised, or perhaps only acted it. Her voice remained calm. "She's not your kind, son. She would only bring you shame. I sent her away before she could do more damage." Toan's fist clenched. He had lost her, not because she wasn't worthy, but because the world still believed in labels more than love. Now, Tu Diem was out there, alone, heartbroken, and in danger from the very people who claimed to act out of love. Toan made a vow that day. He would find her, no matter the cost. And this time, he would protect her not just from the world, but from those closest to him. Because love should never be a battlefield where only one side bleeds. The days that followed were a blur for Toan. Meetings, calls, deadlines, none of it mattered. He had money, influence, power, but without Tu Diem, it all felt hollow. Every time he looked at the empty chair across from him at the dining table, he remembered her soft voice, the way she used to smile even when tired, and how she always lowered her gaze when embarrassed. Toan hired private investigators. He searched hospitals, shelters, even the small markets near the old forest trail where she once sold wild vegetables to survive. No one had seen her. No one knew her name. It was as if she had disappeared into thin air. Meanwhile, Tu Diem had found temporary shelter in an old abandoned house on the outskirts of town. Her heart was broken, not because she had lost comfort, but because she had been thrown away like she didn't matter. She had trusted again and paid the price. Her body grew weaker each day. The cold nights were harsh and her cough worsened. But the pain in her chest was not just illness, it was grief. She thought of Toan often. Did he know? Did he even care? One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, casting a warm gold light through the broken windows, she heard footsteps outside. Her breath caught. She held her breath, too weak to run, too scared to hope. A voice, Tu Diem. It was low, desperate, familiar. She turned slowly. Toan stood in the doorway, eyes wide, chest heaving from running. Mud stained his shoes, and his coat was soaked with sweat and worry. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then tears filled Tu Diem's eyes. Her lips parted, trembling, but no words came out. He rushed to her, fell to his knees, and wrapped her in his arms. "I'm sorry," he whispered over and over. "I'm sorry I wasn't there. I should have protected you. I should have known." Tu Diem sobbed into his shoulder. The pain, the fear, the cold, it all melted in that moment. Because in his arms, she felt safe again. Not because the danger was gone, but because she wasn't alone anymore. That night, he took her home, not to the old house, but to the new one he had quietly prepared, far from judgmental eyes, filled with warmth and hope. And this time, Toan made another vow, not just to find her, but to never lose her again, no matter who stood in the way. The next morning, sunlight streamed gently through the curtains of the new house. Tu Diem stirred, slowly opening her eyes to find herself lying in a warm bed, wrapped in soft blankets. For a moment, she thought it was all a dream, but then she heard footsteps approaching and smelled the faint aroma of herbal soup. Toan walked in, carrying a tray. His eyes lit up when he saw her awake. "You're safe now," he said softly, placing the tray on the table beside her. "I made some soup, just like the one you made for me when I was in the forest." Tu Diem's eyes welled with tears. She couldn't speak. Her voice was still weak, but the gratitude in her gaze said more than words ever could. Toan sat beside her, gently taking her hand. "I've already called the doctor. He'll be here in a few hours. And don't worry, no one will hurt you again. Not my mother. Not anyone." Tu Diem's expression changed at the mention of his mother. She hesitated, then looked away. Toan noticed. He tightened his grip just slightly. "Tu Diem, I know it was her. I didn't want to believe it at first, but I found out everything. She gave money to a man to make you leave. She thought I was being blinded by love." Tu Diem let out a shaky breath. "I never wanted to come between you and your family." "You didn't," Toan said firmly. But my mother will have to understand, love is not weakness. It's my strength. You're my strength. Later that day, Toan's mother showed up at the gate, demanding to speak to her son. He met her at the entrance, calm but resolute. You almost destroyed the only person who ever saved me, he said. Tu Diem isn't someone you can dismiss. She's family to me now. And if you can't accept her, then you're the one who's pushing us apart. His mother, shocked by his words, remained silent. For once, she saw not just a son, but a man who had chosen love over pride. Tu Diem, watching from inside, didn't hear everything, but she saw the way Toan stood between her and the world, like a shield. For the first time in a long time, she felt hope blooming again. Maybe, just maybe, love could truly heal even the deepest scars. True love is not just about feelings. It's about protection, courage, and sacrifice. In the face of misunderstanding and prejudice, real love stands firm and chooses truth over pride. Tu Diem and Toan's story teaches us that the people who genuinely care for us will fight for us, even when the world tries to tear us apart. We also learn that family doesn't always mean support. Sometimes, the hardest battle is choosing between what's expected and what's right. Toan had to confront his own mother to defend the woman who once saved his life, a woman society saw as unworthy. But in doing so, he proved that love is stronger than status, wealth, or tradition. Lastly, this story reminds us to never let others decide our worth. Tu Diem, despite her painful past, chose to survive, to be kind, and to believe again. Her strength inspires us to hold on, because even after the darkest night, the sun will rise again. And love, it's not about where you come from. It's about where you're willing to go together. Even when the heart is broken and trust seems impossible, there is still a way forward. Through compassion, understanding, and bravery, Tu Diem did not choose to be homeless or hurt, but she chose to rise above the pain. And Toan, despite being a powerful CEO, chose to listen to his heart over the voices of judgment. Sometimes, the danger we face doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the ones closest to us. But that doesn't mean we should give up on love or lose hope. It means we must have the courage to confront those fears and protect the ones who matter most. Toan's mother may have acted out of fear, pride, or misunderstanding. But even she must learn, love that is pure cannot be broken by force or fear. Only by opening our hearts, by truly seeing each other's pain and worth, can healing begin. This journey between Tu Diem and Toan reminds us that love is a daily choice, a promise to walk through storms together, not apart. When we stand up for what's right, even against powerful odds, we inspire others to do the same.